Welcome, friends. Welcome to today's Reconsider It live stream. Best live stream. Best live stream you're gonna see all day. And here on this live stream, you are gonna get a very nice hour of 505 live looping, making beats, and all the technical details. What I'm doing on the loopers, how do I make it sound like it's a bass line and all the other different sounds, even though it's just my vocals going through this mic. You're gonna love this stuff if you've been requesting some of those technical details. If you are thinking about getting a 505 and you're curious about how to do stuff, if you like gear in general and you're curious about it for those reasons, or if you just want to hear some dope beats, also good. Join us for the next hour here on 505 Beatmaking. And please do let me know whether you're here live in the chat or you're joining us after the stream, watching on replay. Let me know what 505 related questions you have. I am not able to help with everything, but I will help where I can. So maybe you'll inform some of the content I cover here in this particular flavor of live stream. Right now we are in a warm-up phase. Just getting the blood flowing. Feeling all of that stuff. As we are getting the blood flowing and standing up. We are hanging out to this foundation of a beat that I made before the stream began. Bassline, some other stuff in here. Foundational percussion. Over the course of the next hour, we're going to be building on top of this beat and talking about what's going on. But right now in this warm-up phase, at this time, I am going to celebrate. I'm going to celebrate being here. Whether you are here live with us in the chat, or you are here live with us but you are not in the chat, or you are joining us after the stream, watching on replay. However you are here with us, thank you for being here. I'm going to celebrate you in this way at this time. I have my drink. I'm going to count up to 3. I'm going to clink the screen. And at that time, you are invited to join the rest of us as we celebrate our togetherfulness. It's going to be really good. Oh man, it's going to be the best thing ever. Here it comes, my friends. I'm going to start the count up. It's going to come fast. 1, 2, 3. Clank. Cheers, my friends. Oh, that's good. Oh, man. Please like this video. Right now I see the man himself. Is with us. I love connecting with you like this. I have a good physical sensation that I feel in my body. So as we begin this 505 beatmaking stream, in which I discuss how I make all these beats, let's start with this one. As I said, I built this foundation of the beat. This is so that we have something to start the stream with and just get the blood flowing. But how did I build this? This foundation before we add on top of the foundation. So here's what I got. We got this, right? This is where I personally always start. The kick drum. This kick drum is made out of an EQ with the low turned up a little bit and the high turned down a little bit. And on top of the EQ is stacked, or that's not really the best way to describe it. The result of applying the EQ is then passed through vocal distortion. So that's what gives it the graininess. And that's it. I'm just doing like, that's it. That's all I'm doing. But it makes it sound like this. So that's the kick drum. Then, usually, not always, but I think in this case, I move on to doing this hi-hat thing. This one I think I'm going to redo because if you hear it's got the, like a very strong, it's too heavy. It's almost like a kick drum. So I'm going to redo this. But you can hear that it's got some like, that's all I'm doing. And it sounds pretty raw. This is the same EQ and vocal distortion as the kick drum was. And I just switch over and do a hi-hat with it. This one I layer. There's like 4 or 5 layers here. That's why I think I did too much. I need to redo this one. Actually, you know what? Hold on. I'm so confused. The UI is not behaving as it normally does. I wonder if this track has some kind of setting flipped that I wasn't intentionally doing, or it inherited something. Normally, so here's what I'm trying to do. Normally what you can do is record a layer Now that we're getting into 505 details, that's what this stream is about. So stick around for more details about the 505s and how I use them. Normally what you can do, and this is a configurable setting, but typically you'll be able to record a layer. So like this kick drum. That length there. That's like one wave file under the hood. So there's just like a recording of audio. That's what each of these loops is. Each of these like green channels and all these layers. And you could either just like record it once, which actually is what my kick drum is here. This is just like one take. This isn't layered. But the hi-hats, which I think I'm gonna redo. These are layered, and usually are for me. I do some layers where I'm just like, I do that kind of thing. I do other layers where I go somehow using that. And I just kind of layer them in some way that feels good in the song. And in this case, again, it was built out of the same input effects of the EQ passed into the vocal distortion. And then there's the clap or snare. This thing. This one also, I'm not doing anything special on my end. I'm just doing like some variation of that. So you should feel confident that you can do some cool stuff with these loopers if you're thinking about it. Just apply some sound effects to make it sound a little distorted. It's pretty good. During the intro, during the warm-up, I also had some output effects going on the drums, which are here now. This is a tape echo. I personally don't use this one a lot, but it is a pretty good one in some cases. This is a good example of me intentionally pushing myself out of my comfort zone, pushing myself out of what I'm familiar with and what comes easy to me. So I don't know, let's try this tape echo thing that I'm not really sold on, but let's see how I like it. I'll find some use for it. So we got the drums, that's good. Including how I built those sounds, those, sounds. And then after that, now we got this bass line. How did I build the bass? If you are a regular to the 505 Beatmaking streams, you will not be surprised to learn how I built my bass, because it's very similar to how I almost always build my basses. Which I need to keep evolving, because I'm still not totally happy with them, the way I do my bass lines. Sometimes they're pretty good, sometimes I'm not happy with them. In any case, how did I build this particular bass line you're hearing? Well, this is just me going like, ooh, like, not exaggerating. That's actually it. Ooh, doing some kind of stuff like that. And that's fed into the following quote-unquote instrument. So if you're not familiar, if you aren't familiar with the 505s, the loopers here, they let you save configurations of how you want to use different sound effects in different ways. So I've made 36 different configurations of sound effects. I called them my 36 different palettes. And each of these palettes lets you save a different amount of sound effects and what I call instruments, like the bass line. I have a collection of sound effects that make this bass line. I have a different collection of sound effects that makes this noise, which I think I'm also going to re-record. And so, what is the sound effects? What are the 505 details, since that's what this stream is? This is the 505 details. Let me know your questions or 505 detail needs. Viral has the very nice muscle emoji. This bassline instrument, in this particular palette of mine, starts with the guitar to bass, which is what it sounds like. If you were to plug a guitar into the looper, it would make it sound like a bass guitar. That's what this sound effect is. But I'm using it for me singing into it like, ooh, and take that and turn it into more of a bass sound type of thing. This top looper, this is the Mark II, the second model of looper, as opposed to the Mark I, which is the bottom model of looper here. The Mark II has way more features, and one of the things it lets me do, every time I save a configuration, every time I save a palette of sound effects, I can save up to 4 instruments of sound effects. One of them is the bass line. That's one of my 4 instruments. This one here, whatever you call it, this is another one of my 4 instruments. So this bass instrument, you can build each instrument out of 4 layers of sound effects. The first layer is guitar to bass, as I was just describing. The second that I pass that into is the electric, which is an auto tuner. I can't sing, as you can hear, as you heard me failing to sing earlier. But this auto tuner makes it sound on key. And by the way, for my musician friends who like to jam along, this one is tuned to the key of A flat. Beats per minute is 141.7. So the guitar to bass, which is then fed into an electric, which is then fed into a sustainer, which is basically just a volume boost, but a little more than that, but essentially a volume boost. Guitar to bass, fed into electric, the tuner, fed into sustainer, fed into a plain vanilla reverb. That's it. That's my bass line here. And then I go, it makes it sound good. So that's the bass line, which is pretty nice. You know, fun fact, this guitar to bass, making a dope bass line like that, as long as you can sing kind of, for ideally better than I can, this was the selling point for me. When I understood that there was this guitar to bass sound effect, I was like, sold. That's when I got this bottom looper down here back in 2017. It might have been 2016, but I'm gonna stick with 2017. I was like, that's it. That's the missing piece. Fun fact. Another fun fact is that has joined us. That's a very fun fact indeed. I also see right now that Convict Surgeon Fish has joined us. Welcome. Speaking of which, Surgeon Fish says, is that 255? That was me misspeaking. That wasn't him. Or her. I don't mean to misrepresent. That was me. But Surgeon Fish says, is that 2 505s? The answer is yes, it is. Yes, it is. And the coolest part of having 2 505s is that I can use one of them, which for me is the bottom one down here. I can use one of them to split out my drums, so I don't have to do just one layer for all of my drums or anything like that. I can split out my drums and control them independently. I can have some hi-hats going on for a while. That's a nice little strategic option when you have 2 505s. Or two, other loopers, I guess. It doesn't strictly be 505. Now, I don't mean to blow your mind. I don't mean to blow your mind here. Because this probably is going to blow your mind, honestly. And I don't mean to do that too hard. But this lower looper, it's the Mark I, which is the first looper, the first one that Boss made. It's simpler, it's older. As you can see, it's still working, that's good. The top looper is the Mark II, that's the newer one. This particular piece of machinery is about 4 years old. I got it, I think, in late 2020 or it might have been early 2021. So it's 4.5 years old. The Mark I that I have down here, because I've used it so heavily, bringing it back and forth from venues, playing live shows, it's kind of getting a lot of wear and tear on it. And here's my dilemma. Here's my dilemma. I don't mean to draw you into my dilemmas, but here it is. Here's my dilemma. I talked to the my local hardware support vendor, which I'm very fortunate to have. I get very, very good support for any music equipment that I get through them. So I talked to their repair service, and he gave me a very clear and generous rundown. And it turns out that if I were to go and get this lower looper repaired, because as I say, it has a fair amount of wear and tear on it. I've had it for 7 or 8 years, however long it's actually been. As I say, taking it back and forth to live shows, who knows what kind of wear and tear it's gotten along the way. But it has some issues. It has some technical issues, like you may notice right now that all the volume faders are down, but you can still hear a kick. That's because this volume fader is, oh, there you go. It has you got to do it in the right spot. It has that kind of thing. Also at the top, here's the kicks, but if I do it in the wrong spot, it's quiet. There it is. This one is less of an issue. But there's also other issues like the buttons, the big green buttons, which are the ones that you press in order to record. Like, all right, I'm going to start beatboxing now. Beatboxing. And then use it to turn it on and off. These big green buttons. They're starting to stick. They're starting to stick, meaning that when I press them down, I have to physically pull them up and pull them out. Unfortunately, friends, I think I'm having a stomach issue. Hold on. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to end the stream prematurely. See also though, while I'm able to maintain here for a second on the floor, this has happened once before. My regulars may remember, like a year ago, I did have another issue where this happened on a live stream, where I had a sudden stomach issue, and it was related to other pains that I have, other chronic pains that I have, and I just had like an overtaking of that. So my regulars may know this is the second time you've seen this on a live stream. Viral Beats jumps in right now and says, hey, you gonna be okay? I am gonna be okay. It's good that I have a minute to sit here while I don't do 505 discussions. I can do general 505 discussions though, because I do see that Surgeon Fish says, oh yeah, splitting out the drums is a really good idea. Yeah, it has a lot of potency. Think of that. I get 5 channels of drums right now that I can control independently. I can control their volume independently. I could even potentially control output effects independently. If you're a 505 user, you know what I'm talking about, how you can control all of that. Viral Beat says, I was in the grocery store the last time it happened. Yeah, like a year ago, when I had that other time where I had a similar issue, that I had a sudden wave of my chronic pains and such overtaking me. I'm not sure why it happened this time, but I am proud to say that I did just eat an entire frozen pizza like an hour ago. So I wonder if that's related. That is to say, I cooked it before I ate it, to be clear. But yes, I should be okay as long as I can sit here for a second. And I may indeed need to end the live stream early. So to be clear about that, I may still need to do that. But I am just gathering myself for a moment. But here's the thing I was building up to. I was telling a story about I wonder if I can use my chair. Hold on, let's try this. I do have a chair over here. Maybe I should rebuild my gear, I should rebuild my setup. Because I do generally like to stand when I can. In general. That includes here when I stream and when I'm in the studio playing around with music. But also at work, I have a standing desk. I have a desk job. So I do a standing desk. And I like to do that a lot of the time. I don't do it absolutely all the time, but that's a good strategy. I like to try to have some kind of activity in my body through the day. So I have to maintain a standing posture. So I like standing. But, yeah, the chair's pretty good. The chair's helping a bit. Here's the story I was trying to say. Let me at least finish the story before I make a final decision regarding whether I need to cut the stream. Or end the stream, I should say. So I was saying that my lower looper here, the Mark 1, the bottom one, the older one, the one that I've... Okay, I was going to say that this is the only one that I brought to live shows, but that's not true. I have played, maybe 4 or 5 shows ever with both loopers. This has been primarily an in-studio thing so far. And that's all I intend for it to be right now. I don't intend to go to live shows and bring this whole get-up with both loopers and the keyboard. It's a lot. It's a lot to have to take it down, to transport it, to set it up at the venue. If I'm going to do that I need to have like a minimum of an hour on stage. And ideally we're talking about some kind of like minimum compensation, maybe some kind of like musician tip bucket, you know, something like this. But I'm not pursuing live venues at this time. I'm just doing this studio stuff with the live streams. And that's all I want to do right now, frankly. I've played live shows to a good degree. I might be interested in a good arrangement in the future, but right now this is all an after. Anyway, that's a tangent. So I was saying how the bottom looper, because this is the one that I have brought to live shows so much for so many years, that it has a lot of wear and tear on it. And here's what I was building up to right when I said, oh wait, hold on, I'm starting to have like an overtaking of my, you know, this time it was some stomach stuff. I was saying that I spoke to my local music gear vendor, who is very supportive and a great wonderful. I accidentally erased one of my things. I don't know how that happened. Although I have seen behavior on this device where in rare instances it will do that. It just like whoop, suddenly the thing got erased. So I was speaking with my music gear vendor about repairs on the bottom looper, because there are some issues, mostly hardware issues, like the volume slider has issues on the extremes. The record buttons get stuck, at least these two. The first one is the one I use most heavily, so naturally it has the most wear and tear. That gets stuck pretty much every time. This second one, this is like the snare snare clap kind of thing. This one also gets a lot of wear and tear. This is sticking. So I was saying like, hey, how much is it gonna be to get these repairs? And turns out that it would be a fair amount, you know, just as like a base amount to have someone look at it, and then the time, and then because they don't make this device anymore, this Mark I looper is, I guess, sunset. Is that what you'd say? They don't support it anymore. They don't make it. They haven't made it for years. So to get the parts might be a hassle, and it could wind up being, frankly, a few $100s just to get the Mark I repaired. And that would just be the couple of parts that I bring in for repair and complaint, unless they do like a full redo of everything, in which case it would be a few $100s. But if I were to get a brand new Mark II looper, the top one, that would be a little more, but not that much more. So my two options are keep playing with a Mark I that is still serving me well, but is starting to have some wear and tear issues that are interfering with my ability to use it live. So just grin and bear it. That's option one. Option two is pay a few $100s to have a few specific things repaired on the old looper to bring it to a baseline level of functionality. That's option two. A few $100 for repairs on the old Mark I. Or option three is pay maybe twice the repairs, or maybe less than twice. I don't know how much the repairs would be. But let's say pay twice the repairs and you get a new Mark II. So I would have two Mark II loopers. And then I would be able to apply all sorts of other stuff onto the drums and things. We would have a lot of different sound effects, a lot of different features that I could incorporate with the drums. It would be awesome. And it would be for, you know, not that much more. So I'm kind of over time, I brought this up on a couple streams. Over time, I'm talking myself into buying another Mark II. That's what I've been building up to this whole time. That's what I was trying to say when I had to sit down a couple minutes ago. So I might get a Mark II and have 2 Mark IIs. And it'd be pretty wild. But here's the best part. I don't know if this is even possible, but if I do get another Mark II, that means I would technically have 3 loopers. So I could use my existing Mark II and my new Mark II in the ways that I currently use my 2 loopers, which is one of them for all drums and one of them for bass line and melodic harmonic stuff. And then I would have my 3rd looper, which would now be my old Mark I. And that 3rd looper could be chained at the end of all of that and have it be like just noise and drone type stuff. I think that could be really wild. And all of that would be separate from my synthesizer still. The synth is totally distinct. My regulars know, but if you are new, the loopers are purely vocals. The synthesizer isn't hooked up to them. And as you can see, it's not even powered on. The synthesizer isn't powered on even. Alright, let's see. So that's everything I wanted to say about the loopers and how I might get another Mark II. And I think more and more about it, and I'm convincing myself. The chances are going up and up and up and up and up that I'm going to get another Mark II and just resolve it that way. And then I would decide whether or not I want to try to use this existing Mark I as a noise drone type of 5 channels of drone. Oh my goodness, can you imagine how much, what I could do with that? 5 channels of like just noise and drone. It'd be wild. And that would be in addition to everything I'm doing with 5 channels of drums and then 5 channels of the bass line and harmonies. So I managed to stand up. This is good. We'll see how I feel right now. Let me breathe. Let me also move this chair a little further back. Somewhere along the way, I erased one of my layers. This is one of the ones I wanted to re-record anyway, so I think that's okay. But we talked about my drums and the bass line. Now we have this other layer that I already built. Right now I'm going to try to see if I can see how I feel about describing this, and then after that will come my final decision regarding continuing to do the stream now versus ending it with what I've already done. So we have this other instrument here. Once again, each palette of sound effects allows you to have 4 instruments in it. And each of those instruments is built out of 4 layers of effects. So this one here that you're listening to, this one is just me going like, what am I doing? Like, that's basically all I'm doing into the mic. Once again, I cannot sing. I am not some a cappella beatboxer. So the looper uses the following sound effects to make it sound this way. It starts with a synth. That's the first layer. The sequence matters. The synth I usually think of as being like some kind of brass, some kind of horn. That's what the synth is, and at least the way you would use it if you had like a trumpet or a I don't know, saxophone or something. I wonder if my energy levels are related to why I had to sit down earlier. Thinking about that more. But anyway, this sound effect, this instrument that you're listening to, starts by being built out of a synth, which is the horn, brass kind of thing. That's passed into an electric, which is the tuner. That's then passed into the oscillator bot. That's the one you can hear that's like, I don't know, I think it's called a saw, is that what yeah, actually. So the oscillator bot with the specific oscillator of a vintage saw. So there's like a tone you hear, but under the tone you hear like an almost monotone raspiness. That's the oscillator bot. And then all of that is passed into a tremolo, which is one of the, there's a couple, there's at least two. There's, actually I think there's three. Yeah, I think there's at least three effects in the looper that'll, in the Mark II specifically, that allow you to chop something. The tremolo is one of them. You can hear this one is chopped a bit. So that's this particular instrument. And you heard also how I built the bass line. And you heard for each of the drums how I built those. And now the question is, now that I've gone through what I've already built, and I've at least caught you up to speed on those, the question is, how am I feeling? I did just have to sit down earlier. I was having kind of a stomach issue. Feeling a little lightheaded, not entirely, but a little. And the question is now, will I continue doing the stream right now? I see that me has joined us. Me is my man. If you don't know me expressing myself, M-E, me expressing. If you don't know me, his page is really worth a extensive browse. He is a keyboardist. He's got a few, what do you got, like 3 at least? I'm not sure how many, but he's got like 3 keyboards, 3 synths, and he's got other gear and things, little DJ gear device that's really cool. I forgot what it's called. Anyway, his page is really nice. He does all sorts of like compositional, you know, very cinematic, big stuff. Also like DJ stuff. Go check out Me Expressing if you don't already know his page. So how am I feeling? Can I keep going and build more beats and keep going and tell you all the stuff? I think the answer is I do need to bring the stream to a close. Earlier today, I did the first ever, unspoken stream, where there's no talking at all. It went really well, actually. So even though I'm bringing this stream to a close, I hope to see you in the next live stream. I do have different kinds. Right now we are in the upper right, 505 Beatmaking, where I talk about what I'm doing in great detail and I elaborate and I tell you 505 stories. Earlier today was the lower left, the unspoken. Every time I go live, it could be any one of these 4 flavors. I hope to see you in the next one. Until then, my friends, please have a very good rest of your day today. Please have a blessed and wonderful day filled with healing, and I will see you in the next Reconsider It live stream.